Benvenuti su UCapital 24 e soprattutto benvenuti nel nostro speciale sulle elezioni americane. Siamo arrivati agli ultimi giorni prima del fatidico Election Day e mai quanto ora le mosse dei due candidati Kamala Harris e Donald Trump sono decisive per accaparrarsi l'elettorato ancora indeciso. Le dichiarazioni negli scorsi giorni si sono fatte sempre più dirrompenti con accuse mirate arrivate da entrambi i candidati. Oggi abbiamo il piacere di avere con noi un esperto speciale che ci guiderà attraverso le ultime mosse dei candidati esplorando le strategie di campagna, dagli eventi pubblici anche agli annunci pubblicitari per comprendere come ciascun candidato sta cercando di catturare l'attenzione degli elettori. È un piacere quindi accogliere il nostro ospite John Tobacco in collegamento da New York. Hello John, how are you?
Hello, how are you today? Great to be with you again.
I'm fine. Thank you to be with us, John, today. As I was saying in the introduction, we have arrived at the final days before the election day, and I have few questions to understand the feeling in the United States during the final period. I would like to start with the candidates' recent public speeches. What has been the American public's reaction to the candidates' final affirmation, in particular regarding Kamala Harris' accusation of fascism against Donald Trump, and as well Trump's description of Harris as demented. The question is how these remarks have shaped the voters' perception of each candidate's credibility and leadership.
Okay, well, there is certainly a lot to unpack there. I appreciate the time and the question. I'm going to take them one at a time and say my view on Kamala Harris using her closing speech to call out Trump and generally his supporters as fascists, I thought was a very poor political move. I think, Julia, you are in Italy.
Yeah.
One of the more infamous fascists of all times was Benito Mussolini, and Adolf Hitler and others. And what these people did, and I'm sure your ancestors know, first they take away weapons from people. Then they close down the free press so people cannot communicate. Then they attack their enemies, anyone who speaks against them. And then in the end, they either jail or kill anyone who opposes their tyranny. So I find it rich that Kamala Harris would try to call Trump and his supporters fascists when she has supported in her career the confiscation of guns. That's what fascists do. Her and the Biden administration have overseen an effort with all the social media companies to shut down free speech. They attack people who engage in free speech as misinformationists. They've also attacked and tried to jail their opponent, Donald Trump. And lastly, whether it was an accident or a plan, we don't know. But some forces out there actually tried to kill Donald Trump. So to me, her calling him a fascist, in psychology, they call that projection. What you're doing wrong, you accuse others of doing. So I think she would have been much better off to come out and tell America what she's going to do to make our country a better place than to spend a good portion of it attacking someone else for being a fascist and all of his supporters. So does that answer it comprehensively?
Yeah. And John, and how Trump answer at this affirmation of fascism from Kamala Harris?
Show me that one again, Julia.
I would like to understand how Trump responded to this affirmation of the fascist made from Kamala last week, sorry.
Yeah, well, I think, part of your original question was his response was to say that she's demented.
Yeah.
And dementia, is a psychological condition that affects older people more often than not, and leads to the dissolution of brain power over time. And I think for her to be guilty of all the things we've seen over the last 4 years that demonstrate fascist comments, I think Trump, he has a unique way with words, but I think it is somewhat demented when we've all seen the policies of her administration and they're in line with fascism. So for her to call him that is somewhat demented. And, Trump's delivery may not always be perfect, but for some reason, he seems to be resonating with tens of millions of Americans. And Julia, I went to the Madison Square Garden rally on Sunday. I covered it for my network, Newsmax TV. There's probably over 100,000 people there. And I saw no hate. I saw all love. I saw white people, black people, Asian people, Hispanic people, Jewish people, all ages, all colors, all sizes. And they were there to say they want a change in this country. And I think I talked to you last time, and I said the one thing I'd like to see out of either administration would be an immediate priority to reestablishing unity in this country. And I was personally surprised to see the diverse group of people who have now come out to support Donald Trump. So I think he's doing his part. I wish Kamala would do the same.
Of course. And John, what are the latest moves to win over the swing states in the final days, 1 week before the election day?
Well, I think it's an interesting dynamic that's going on. I know you guys are over in Italy, so you may not be all the way up on your U.S. geography, but Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania, which is just south and west of New York, is a key priority state. You see it up there in the right-hand corner. Joe Biden won the state last time. Trump's leading in most polls right now. And if you look at the map, the reds and the blues, it really feels like Kamala Harris and her team are trying to preserve Pennsylvania, and Donald Trump and his team are trying to take back Pennsylvania. So to me, and I'll be in Pennsylvania on Sunday, covering a Trump rally. So maybe next week I can give you a little feedback on what the energy was on the ground in Pennsylvania. But I think Trump is expanding the map right now. He's going to New Mexico today. He was in California last week. He had a huge rally in New York City on Sunday. And those are all typically blue states. So I think his team is looking to expand the map, and they're still on the attack. And I think Kamala Harris is trying to hold together whatever map Joe Biden had. So it's fight to the finish. We're right here in the home stretch. And I think, again, Kamala Harris would have been a lot better off going out and taking that national airtime to telling people all the great things she's going to do as the president of America, instead of spending a predominant amount of the time talking about how awful Donald Trump is. So it seems like to me, they're trying to scare people away from voting for Trump, not for voting for her, to vote against Trump. And Trump's out there in a wider range of states saying, hey, give me a chance. So it's going to be interesting, but being in politics for a very long time, Julia, I feel pretty strong that Donald Trump is leading in Pennsylvania. From some information I got today, he's leading in North Carolina, which is another state that's typically blue. And if Trump were to win Pennsylvania and North Carolina, it would be nearly impossible for Kamala to win.
Perfect. Thank you very much, John, to be with us today. I hope to have you again here, maybe after the election day, to see what happened. And in the meanwhile, thank you very much.
Well, thank you as usual for having me. I love talking to my friends in Italia, and I'll come back anytime you want.
Thank you. See you soon. Good day, John. Noi ci fermiamo, ringraziamo John Tobacco per essere stato con noi e torniamo tra pochissimo, sempre qui su UCapital 24.